The hospital room was a stark white box, the only color a single vibrant bouquet of sunflowers on the bedside table. The air smelled of antiseptic and a quiet, clinical dread. Wang Yibo lay in the bed, his face pale, a thin foreline a stark contrast against his skin. A heart monitor beeped in a slow, steady rhythm, a constant reminder of the fragility of life. Only 2 people were allowed to be in the room: his older brother, who stood by the window, his shoulders slumped in exhaustion, and Xiao Zhan, who sat by Yibo's side, his hand in a tight protective grip. The public knew none of this. To the world, Wang Yibo had simply disappeared. His social media was silent, and his studio had issued a vague, anodyne statement about a sudden health issue that required rest. The truth was far more terrifying. It had started with a subtle tremor, a barely perceptible shaking in his left hand during a dance rehearsal. He had dismissed it as exhaustion, a result of his grueling schedule. But over the next few days, it worsened. It spread to his leg, and then his entire body would tremble in uncontrollable spasms. He had tried to hide it, using his apathetic, cool persona as a shield, but the tremors were becoming impossible to conceal. Finally, during a live television show, a particularly violent spasm had caused him to stumble. He had recovered with his usual practiced grace, but the moment had been captured on camera. It was a fleeting, mind-blowing instant that had gone viral, sparking a wave of concern and speculation. That night, at home, Yibo had finally confessed everything to Zhan. They had rushed to the hospital, and after a battery of tests, the diagnosis was delivered with a heavy heart. It wasn't a life-threatening illness, but it was a cruel, rare neurological disorder that, if left untreated, could cause permanent damage. The treatment was a difficult, painful process that would take months, and there was no guarantee of a full recovery. For a dancer, an artist who relied on his body as his most important instrument, the news was a devastating blow. Yibo, who had faced down cheating scandals and public betrayals with a quiet, unyielding strength, was now broken. He was a man without his greatest gift, his body. He felt a profound sense of loss, a grief for the life he had built and the future he had planned. Zhan, however, was a rock. He never once showed panic or fear. He simply took Yibo's hand and said, "We will get through this. Together. We will fight this. Every step of the way." He had called Yibo's older brother, the only person he knew who was completely trustworthy. And for the past week, they had been in this sterile white box, fighting a silent battle against an unseen enemy. One night, the battle took a terrifying turn. The tremors, which had been controlled by medication, came back with a vengeance. Yibo's body went into a full-blown seizure. The heart monitor began to beep frantically, the sound a horrifying alarm. Nurses rushed in, their faces grim, their movements quick and precise. Zhan was pushed back, but he didn't leave. He stood by the door, watching helplessly as Yibo's body was racked with violent spasms, his face contorted in a silent scream. He felt a helplessness so profound it was a physical pain. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't help. He could only watch as the man he loved was consumed by an illness he couldn't fight. The nurses worked feverishly, administering medication and trying to stabilize him. The minutes stretched into an eternity. Finally, the seizure stopped. The heart monitor went back to its slow, steady beat, and the room was once again silent. The nurses looked at each other, their faces filled with a tired relief. "He'll be okay," one of them said to Zhan, her voice gentle. "He's a fighter." But when Yibo woke up the next morning, he was not a fighter. He was a man defeated. The seizures had taken a toll on his body, leaving him exhausted and weak. When Zhan tried to reassure him, Yibo simply turned away. "I can't do this, Zhan," he whispered, his voice thick with a raw, unadulterated fear. "I can't be a burden. I can't be a person who can't even stand on his own." "You are not a burden." Zhan's voice was sharp, a rare show of anger. "You are Wang Yibo. You are the strongest person I know. You've faced down 1,000 scandals, 1,000 lies, and you've always come out on top. This is just another challenge. And we'll get through it. Together." He took Yibo's hand, his gaze intense. "I'm not going anywhere. You hear me? We're a team. And a team doesn't give up." And in that quiet hospital room, a new battle began. It wasn't just against an illness. It was a battle against fear, against doubt, against a sense of hopelessness that threatened to consume them both. Yibo was no longer fighting alone. He was fighting for the man he loved. The public knew nothing of their ordeal. To the world, it was just a fleeting health scare, a temporary absence. But in that sterile, silent room, a mind-blowing secret war was being fought, and the stakes were higher than any public drama could ever imagine. The silence in the hospital room after the seizure was replaced by the quiet, methodical rhythm of recovery. For the next 3 months, Wang Yibo's life was an endless loop of pain and determination. The physical tremors were a constant, invisible battle he fought every day, and the emotional toll was immense. He had to relearn simple movements, to retrain his muscles to obey his commands. The physical therapy was brutal, a daily reminder of all he had lost. But he wasn't alone. Xiao Zhan, who had put his own career on hold, was a constant, unwavering presence. He spent his days in that sterile room, not as a fan or an idol, but as a caregiver. He learned the physical therapy exercises and helped Yibo practice, a silent, shared struggle that built a new, unshakable foundation for their love. To the public, Wang Yibo had simply taken a break. His studio's vague statements about a sudden health issue were enough to quell the initial speculation. His social media was managed with pre-scheduled, anodyne posts that gave nothing away. But behind the scenes, his absence from the public eye was a carefully orchestrated deception. His manager, a trusted few, and his older brother were the only people who knew the truth. They held press briefings where they expertly dodged questions, and they released carefully edited, pre-recorded videos to maintain the illusion that he was just resting. The world believed he was on a quiet vacation, recharging. The truth was, he was in a war for his body and his future. The mind-blowing scene that would eventually change everything was a live performance he had planned as his comeback. After months of grueling therapy, Yibo had regained a semblance of control over his body. The tremors were gone, or at least they were controllable. He wasn't at 100%, not yet, but he was good enough. He chose a live performance, a dance number he had choreographed himself, as the stage for his silent confession. The industry was buzzing with his comeback, a high-profile television special that was being broadcast live across the nation. No one knew the truth. The entire team thought he had just been resting and was now fully recovered. When the music started, the stage was bathed in a single spotlight. Wang Yibo began to dance. It was not his usual aggressive, powerful style. This was a dance of exquisite, breathtaking control. Every movement was slow, deliberate, a testament to his painstaking recovery. The audience saw a masterpiece of artistry. His fans saw a man who had returned stronger than ever. But only Zhan, who was watching from the wings, saw the truth. He saw the subtle tremor in Yibo's hand as he executed a difficult move. He saw the pain in his eyes. He saw the raw, beautiful courage in every step. It was a mind-blowing, silent confession to the world. He had been to the brink and had come back. The performance was not just a dance. It was a testament to his resilience, a silent, beautiful conversation between him and the man who had helped him fight his secret battle. Now that the secret health scare is behind them and he's back in the public eye, what happens next? Will they finally reveal the truth, or will they continue to keep the terrifying ordeal a secret? The performance was a mind-blowing triumph of discipline and art, a silent, powerful conversation that only a select few understood. The next day, the internet was ablaze with his comeback. Fans and critics alike praised his maturity and the emotional depth of his dance. The words, masterpiece, and unforgettable were used 1,000 times over. But amidst the praise, a new kind of speculation began to brew, not from a place of malice, but from a place of genuine concern. An observant fan, with a sharp eye for detail, posted a slow-motion video of a specific moment in the dance, a close-up of Yibo's hand as he executed a difficult move. For a split second, a barely perceptible tremor ran through his fingers. A medical student's online analysis of the video went viral, pointing out that Yibo's movements, while flawless, had a controlled, almost deliberate quality, as if he was overcompensating for something. The vague health issue statement from his studio suddenly took on a new, terrifying meaning. The world wasn't just speculating anymore. They were getting closer to the truth. Yibo and Zhan watched the online frenzy together. There was no panic this time, only a quiet resolve. They knew this was their moment to take control of the narrative. They would not wait for the truth to be found out. They would reveal it themselves, on their own terms. The decision was made to use their social media channels for a live-streamed conversation, a raw, unscripted moment that would be just for them and their fans. They would talk directly to the people who had stood by them through every scandal. The night of the live stream, millions tuned in. The screen was a simple split screen of Yibo and John, sitting on a couch in their apartment, looking exhausted but at peace. There was no professional lighting, no makeup, no public relations spin. It was just them. Jean spoke first, his voice soft and gentle. "We wanted to talk to you directly tonight because a lot of you have been worried about Yibo. And your worry isn't just because of a fleeting health scare. It's because you've seen something in his performance. And you are right." Yibo took over, his voice a little hoarse. "I haven't just been on a break. For the past 3 months, I have been fighting a secret battle. I was diagnosed with a neurological disorder that caused my body to go into uncontrollable spasms. For a long time, I was scared. I was defeated. I thought I had lost everything. I thought I had lost my ability to do what I love, to dance." His eyes welled up with tears, and the thousands of comments on the live stream came to a complete, stunned stop. He then looked at John, his gaze filled with a profound, soul-deep love. "And if it weren't for this man," he continued, "I wouldn't be standing here today. He was my caregiver, my therapist, and my strength. When I was in that hospital room, he never left my side. When I thought I was a burden, he told me that a team doesn't give up. The dance you saw the other night wasn't just a performance. It was a testament to his strength, a love letter to the man who saved my life." The honest, raw confession was the most mind-blowing moment of all. The public had been given a sensational headline, but what they received was a beautiful truth about a love so strong it could conquer a silent, terrifying illness. The comments on the live stream were no longer words of speculation, but words of gratitude, of awe, of love. They had turned a potential career-ending diagnosis into the most inspiring love story of the decade.